guys how much I just love Pittsburgh. Love Pittsburgh, right? I'm sure everybody does. I mean, like truck drivers, anyways. Right? Are along the matter. Accurate. So, yeah, 376 westbound. I don't know, I'm in stop and go for 2 minutes already. GPS said 6 minute delay. That was well over 6 minutes ago. It says there's like 3 accidents up here. So let's find out. By the way, I'm not holding a recording device, just so everybody knows. I'm getting a lot of criticism for that. And people don't understand that there are other ways to capture content. But I'm not going to divulge those because those are trade secrets and intellectual property. So just because I post a video of an accident or traffic or a skyline or whatever it may be to do with my channel, because it is a trucking channel, doesn't mean I'm holding my phone. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm out here walking on water or anything. And let's face it, if nobody ever captured content while they were mobile, YouTube would be a whole lot different. Because I see plenty of viral videos and they're mobile. So, there's passengers, there's automated ways, there's tracking devices that will track an object, there's stationary mounting, there's automated mounting. There's a lot of different ways that you can capture content. And game's meant to be sold, not told. So if you don't know, I ain't telling you. And that's about it, because I'm building a brand here, which means there's equity, which means I would be silly just to give away my trade secrets and intellectual property just so somebody else can do the same thing. Now, I'm sure anybody could recreate anything if they tried hard enough or if they were educated enough. But the point is, no channel is going to please everybody. Even Mr. Beast says that. He says, if you're not getting bad comments, if you're not getting bad press, people aren't talking smack, then you're not doing something right. You haven't made enough content to attract enough attention if people aren't giving you grief. And that's a fact. Oh, we're coming up on Pittsburgh Stadium. I hope I don't lose y'all in the tunnel. Where I'm mobile, and not even it's evergreen content. And if y'all don't know, that's content that doesn't really get outdated. I've got stockpiles and stockpiles of content, probably over 2 gigabytes of videos from since I started trucking over 6 years ago. So not every single thing I post is live action today. So it is possible that some of those videos or captured with some of today's modern technology. Just lost GPS signal, so I might lose it for a second. So, I guess take everything with a grain of salt and understand. If somebody said, "Oh yeah, you're real professional," as if to say I'm not professional. Guess what? Professional just means you get paid for it. And what I'm doing here, I get paid for it. Not so much on the content because I'm still in the monetization phase, but I'll get there. I'm committed, so that's half the battle. But I'm absolutely a professional, whether they view that as professional in an adjective and not the noun. That's subjective. That's like saying somebody skydiving should wear a GoPro because maybe they'll forget to pull their chute or something, or maybe they'll run into a plane up there. That's just silly, man. That's like saying, tell my dash cam not to record because I'm driving. You know? Not even. Let me make sense, but I digress. I've committed enough time to that situation. Moving on, I am very happy to say we have reached 5,000 subscribers. So, I appreciate you. We are growing. The channel is growing. And it must not have been an accident, or they cleared it up because I know it seemed to. But at the same time, GPS is telling me to take an alternate route, so we might run into some more traffic over here. But we're getting into the heart of Pittsburgh right now. I shared this the last time I was down here. So Pittsburgh's like one of these towns. So back in the day when we were early settlers, towns were built because the railroad went through there, because of the Oregon Trail, usually because it was traveled, and sometimes because it was well traveled. Well, Pennsylvania, all the New England states are very dense states because that's where we first started settling the United States. And I'm no history scholar by any means, but I was told this by an old school dude that's been in trucking for over 50 years. And he's the vice president of the largest family-owned trucking company in the United States. He said Pittsburgh's one of them towns where the people were there first, and then they built the infrastructure. And I know that to be true because I've hauled a lot of freight in and out of Pittsburgh. So, if you're a trucker and you're new, or maybe you're an experienced trucker that doesn't really run the East Coast or out east, some people don't. Some people don't run past 71. Some people don't run past 40, 44. But Pittsburgh is one of those cities that you really want to know which routes to take. And it's not always obvious, trust me. I've ended up in some pretty hairy situations when I was hauling steel flatbed. And it's not fun, let me tell you. There were times where I had to just set the brake and take a minute and pull myself together because I was afraid I was about to mess up. You end up in a residential neighborhood in Pittsburgh, it gets scary. And some of the state routes go right through residential neighborhoods, and you start looking around, you're in this 70-foot-long vehicle that's 80,000 pounds and 13.5 foot tall, and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I'm not supposed to be here. And people are standing there looking at you, but some of them are state routes. Now, I've ended up on streets where I had one gentleman, thank God for a concerned citizen, he seen that I had to turn around, so I had to hit a side street because I was coming up on like a 9'9" clearance. This guy followed me like a mile and a half in his car and said, "Hey, you looking for such and such place?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, they need better signage." He said, "I get you guys down here all the time." He's like, "Follow me, I'll show you which way to go." And I was a mile away from where I was picking up at the time. This dude took me like 8 miles around this low clearance. That's how far out of the way you had to go on a truck route. I mean, we probably drove for 15 minutes. After I had to finagle my rig, turn it around at a really small parking lot, and then I couldn't get past the telephone pole. On the way out, I was driving up on the sidewalk, trying not to run people's trees and bushes over. And this guy's just standing there kind of blocking traffic for me and directing traffic. God bless his soul for helping me out, because I don't know what I would have did that day. But I ended up having to, I put the side of my flatbed, the rail, right there against put it right against the telephone pole, and was able to, because I was empty, it just kind of slid the tires sideways and I was able to get out of there. And then I followed this guy for about 15 minutes. Here we are, downtown Pittsburgh, yo. And finally got all the way around there, and I felt so bad because I didn't have no cash on me. I was like, dude, if I had some cash on me, I'd give you $20 right now. And he was like, don't worry about it, man. He's like, I get it. He said, people do it all the time because they don't have it clearly marked. So he was my savior that day for sure. And to the right is Pittsburgh, the baseball stadium over there. We're going through a mountain, y'all. Fort Pitt Tunnel. Let's see, we lose. Let's see, I didn't lose it earlier, so you know, it always freaks me out. It's like, what if you broke down in here? What would you do if you broke down in this tunnel, man? Look how, what are you gonna do? Shimmy like Mission Impossible style on that little concrete ledge right there? And what would you do with your vehicle? Because these people don't stop, man. Like, y'all never traveled the East Coast. It's a different breed of drivers out here. You really gotta be on your P's and Q's. See, I'm giving myself plenty of room. Somebody will slide in there, then I'll back off even more. But what would you do if you was trapped in this tunnel? Put it in the comments, because I'm curious. I don't know what I'd do. I wouldn't stay in my vehicle because somebody's liable to rear engine. I mean, you can put your cones out, but you see how close they follow right there? They're not going to know somebody stopped in front of them. They're just not. So the chances of them being able to get out of the way in time, and I had this happen in New York the week before last. Look at this low bridge. It's not marked, so it's over 14 feet, but man, that'll make you squeeze your glutes. So yeah, I was in Rochester, New York the week before last, and I was coming down. Let's see, where was I at? It took 90 up to Niagara Falls, and I was coming back down 290. I believe it is right there in Rochester. And it just split off all of a sudden. And guilty, I was a little too close to the car in front of me, but I got to stop this. Traffic just came to a dead halt. Look, they're backed up over there now. We're getting ready to slow down too, I bet you. And traffic came to a dead halt. And I was able to stop like 6 inches from the bumper of the rear bumper of the car in front of me. And immediately I looked in the mirror because I didn't have time to put my hazards on or anything like that. And I seen a big truck barreling down on me. And first of all, it's just a release of endorphins from the adrenaline because I just knew I was going to get hit. And I grabbed the steering wheel with both hands and braced for impact. And the dude just barely at the last second was able to get over. Thank God there wasn't no cars beside him. Because it had either been me or them. And he'd have been better off hitting me. So I was just waiting for my trailer to come up there to the truck. Because he was moving. He was probably going 50 miles an hour when he seen me. And then as soon as he dodged me, like 4 or 5 cars went pew, 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 pew. You see a wreck on NASCAR? And all the cars go flying by them, and then they got the audio, and it's like, pew, pew, pew. That's exactly what happened to him. I'm looking in the mirror, still braced for impact, squeezing my white knuckling my steering wheel. About ripped it off of there, and these cars go pew, 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 left, right, left, right, left, right. They're just darting each which way, and thank God nobody hit me. But about 10 minutes later, after that rush of endorphins wore off, because I don't know if you know this, but one thing I'll share from my accident, as soon as I looked up and seen I was about to impact, the same thing happened. It was just a release of chemicals in my brain. And I didn't feel nothing until about the 3rd day. Yeah, my leg was hurting and stuff that night, and I went and got checked out. And I ended up having a torn meniscus after I got my MRI, which I got fixed. But I was like, I'm not even sore. Everybody's like, oh, you're going to feel it. Just wait. Just wait. 2nd day, I'm starting to feel a little bit. The 3rd day, I couldn't move at all. But the day it happened, I didn't feel no pain. So if you ever lost somebody in an accident, I wanted to say this. My condolences. I can't imagine what that's like to go through. I do know people that have passed away from accidents, which is why I take this career so serious. So I just want you to know, if I would have went that night, I wouldn't have felt no pain. I stuck around to feel the pain. So thank God for that, feeling the pain, right? This guy's got his turn signal on. I don't even know he's turning. I'm going to slow down just in case. So, yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. So, about 15 minutes later, after I braced for impact, man, my whole body hurt from where I had tensed up and thought I was about to get rear-ended. Yeah, that was rough. Well, thank God I didn't get hit. And now I know where that split's at. It wasn't like a regular route for me. I've done it quite a few times since then. Now I know. Start slowing down. Because what you're supposed to do if you got a slow down or sudden stop or sudden slow down, turn your hazards on and let the people behind you know what's about to happen. That's what our lights are for. It's to signal our intentions to other drivers. That's why we get tickets when our lights are blown and need replaced. If we got a turn signal out or no lights at all, they will put you out of service in a truck because it's not safe. You're unable to signal your intentions. So if you're coming up on a sudden slow down, do your due diligence, turn your hazards on. At least until the vehicle behind you, immediately behind you, has slowed down and is aware of the sudden slowdown. That'll absolutely save life. And for truckers, get a CD, man. I got paid $30-some, 40, I don't know, 40, 50 bucks for this CD I got, but it works great. If there's an accident, I can radio back and let them guys know, let the drivers know, guys and gals, hey, we got a problem up here, get ready to slow down, and that'll save lives. I see these pile-ups where there's 20, 30 cars here in Pennsylvania. Matter of fact, it was last year, the year before. Massive pile-up. A few people died. Probably millions of dollars worth of damage done. You know, some people had to absorb, the insurance had to absorb. Everybody pays for that. When you get a pile-up of that magnitude, everybody pays for it. Everybody in the state's insurance goes up when you have something like that. So how could that have been avoided? If I'm coming up on accident that is so bad it shut down the highway, the whole highway's blocked, for one, you better get out of your car because the people behind you are still going 65, 70 mile an hour. Right now, I'm going to hit my hazards because I'm coming up on a slowdown. And you're always looking ahead of it. You're looking near and you're looking far. You're looking near, you're looking far. And you're scanning your mirrors. Because anytime you come up on a ramp like this right here, it's a hazard. Somebody could go flying around me to get off of this ramp. And on the other side of the ramp, somebody could come flying up that ramp to merge onto the highway. So that's a potential hazard. So you're scanning left to right, and you're looking near and far. And that was taught to me by my trainer, who had probably over 2 million miles and 30-some years of trucking in. So I'm on a slow down. My hazards are on. I've let everybody behind me know that something's happening. I'm signaling my intentions. And I'm signaling other people's intentions. And notice how I'm leaving myself out. So as I'm coming up on the slowdown, one of the first things I do is I check my mirrors real quick in case I don't have time to get stopped. And that's why I have so much space between me and that minivan up there. Because if I don't have time to get stopped, I'll be able to make a defensive move to avoid a rear end collision. And right here, we got a big truck on the side of the road. So I'm going to let the other drivers know. Heads up westbound, we got a big truck in the breakdown lane just after the 62. Westbound, we got a big truck in the breakdown lane just after the 62. Looks like he hit somebody in the rear end. His whole bumper's laying on the ground. So I got over and gave him space. I slowed down. And now I'll make another lane change, get back over here now to the fast lane. PA is one of them states where a lot of the state routes are marked, no trucks in the left lane. Especially when you get down into the cities. And over here, believe it or not, there's a lot of law enforcement over here. And they have the vehicles that are not marked, and they don't have to have their lights on to pull you over and all that. And they got pop-up weigh stations, pop-up inspection stations. And they'll just pull in, and they can trigger the lights and pull you in. Just like that. They can pull in there and trigger the lights. It would just tell you to pull in and inspect you right on the side of the road. But PA's also one of those states where 70 means 80. And if you ever drove over here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, is that an excuse for everybody to do that speed limit? Absolutely not. Another slow down here. Now, see how the car got in front of me right there and he took my space? I'm backing up and getting my space back. I need that stopping distance. one of the way we measure how far we are and how far we're supposed to be, 55 miles an hour, I should be at least 5 to 7 seconds behind that vehicle. And I'm not going quite 55, but take that big sign right there and count from that car. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000. I'm 6 seconds behind that vehicle right now, which is a sweet spot. It takes this truck, when it's loaded at 55 miles an hour, about 4 to 5 football fields to come to a complete stop at 55 miles an hour. Now, every 10 miles an hour over that is another football field. So that's why speeding is really, 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 really frowned upon for trucks. Pittsburgh is Allegheny County, and it's a pretty big county. So we're on the outskirts of it now. That was all Pittsburgh. And did you see that yield? So there's a difference between yield and merge. Yield is if there's vehicles coming, I gotta stop. I gotta wait until it's clear. Merge is you get up to speed and you get in where you're fitted. And I'm gonna do a video now. Once I get the rest of my videography system in. Because I think that's important that we communicate that. A lot of new drivers have no idea what the difference between a merge. A lot of drivers have no idea what a merge is, period, honestly, if we're keeping it real. And the drivers that are already maintaining their lane or maintaining their current travel position. So what I'm saying is the driver that's not merging, because they are not familiar with what merging is supposed to look like, they'll cram on their brakes, and then everybody behind them gets brake checked, and that causes accidents. So maintain your speed and let them do their merge. They need to either speed up or slow down accordingly. And you can slow down a little bit, let them in, or speed up a little bit, let them in. But most importantly, you're not supposed to empty the flow. Like this fella right here, he's just got he's in the right lane. I apologize, I can't get to your comments because later, after the video goes on, appreciate you checking us out. It is snowing. When I first got here, it was like pretty much whiteout condition. I couldn't believe how much snow's on the ground over here compared to Ohio. Pretty significant amount. And where I was at, well, at the top of a mountain where I just delivered, it took me 45 minutes to get to the dock because it was like, I don't know, 8% grade, solid snow and ice, and a hairpin turn at the top to get my truck flipped around so that I could blindside on the other side of a building to the one dock that this place had. And it took 5 guys out there salting, throwing salt under my tires, and another guy in a pickup truck, a 4-wheel drive pickup, plowing. about 45 minutes to get it just to where I could get enough traction to get into that dog. I only had one skid to drop off. That's what really sucked. One skid, it took me 45 minutes just to get into the dock. I'm like, man, it'd be real nice if y'all plowed this. And the receiver was like, yeah, he's out there. Sure enough, when I came back out, they were throwing salt under my tires. I don't like riding behind trucks like this either. See how he's overflowing out of the top? Any given time, something comes flying out there, and then somebody goes to dodge it, or I go to dodge it. Causes problems. So, potential hazard. And I can't tell you, well, I can tell you, matter of fact, twice, twice, when my wife and my team drove and we had our truck we were buying, rocks flew up and busted the windshield. One of them came off the dump truck as I was merging onto a highway. Man, that thing went halfway through the windshield. It was sticking out the other side. Like, we were lucky it didn't come all the way through there. I chased the truck down and said, hey, you just threw a rock through my windshield. He's like, okay, what do you want me to do about it? And I guess they consider that a road hazard or something like that. Like, they're not, I don't know, I guess he's not responsible for it. I'm like, well, I need your insurance information. Long story short, I paid about $250 to replace that windshield. And then it happened again a week later. So, how do you avoid that and keep your distance? Especially dump trucks, because they're in and out of these sites where they need them big knobby tires for traction, and then rocks get stuck in there. And then once they get up to speed, they're getting on an exit, they're getting on a ramp onto a highway. Chances are they just came off a job site. So once they get up to speed, all that stuff that they picked up in that job site is going to be thrown behind them. So it's actually a lot more common than what you think. So what do? You just give them space. Stay back. I see a dump truck merging ahead, I'm staying back. I don't care how slow he's going. I ain't even going to try to pass it because it's not worth having to replace that windshield. Or worse, what if it comes through the windshield? So there's your explainer video of the day. That's your explainer video of the day. Yeah, by the second, man, listen, a week after I had replaced, the same thing happened. I'm like, who did this? Doesn't happen to nobody. And I think I posted something about it in social media. A couple people were like, yeah, that's happened to me. And back then, it wasn't that bad. Safe flight, they'll come to you or you make an appointment. It was just easier to make an appointment. And you can find the closest one to you. Drop your trailer at a truck stop, bobtail in there. It takes about an hour. Now, if you got all the cool self-driving, driving assist, lane departure, lane assist, automated cruise control, and all that stuff, that windshield's going to be expensive. We were lucky we didn't have that stuff. I mean, we had the forward radar, which is supposed to, but it wasn't attached to the windshield. So, like a lot of the Cascadias, the newer ones have that assisted cruise control, and it's got a camera mounted right inside of the windshield, and it's got a huge radar system, and it's got blind spot detection. So those are so expensive windshield. They're looking like $1,500 minimum. because they're all built right into the windshield. So the ones that we got, we were actually pretty lucky. They were only a couple $20. Just solid glass. I've actually heard of people pay more for car windshields. Matter of fact, I just replaced the car windshield not too long ago. A friend of mine did one car that I had, and it was more than my truck windshield. So that was 2021 when we replaced the windshield twice in our T680, and everything's more expensive now. Everything. I paid almost $4 a gallon for diesel yesterday because, especially in the wintertime, you get under a half tank, you fill your tanks up. For one, if you end up stranded, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. You'll be able to run your truck and just went to 55 and run your heater. So keep your tanks. Oh, and you get better fuel efficiency. A lot of people don't know that. You drop under a half tank, your fuel efficiency really drops drastically. So if you're wondering why you never get anywhere on that quarter tank of gas or that half a tank of gas you're putting in your car, it's because you're getting the worst fuel efficiency possible out of that fuel. Fill it up and see how far that tank goes versus putting 2 half tanks in there. You'll probably save yourself $5-10 per tank in fuel efficiency. Test it out. Test my theory and let me know how it works. Drop in the comments if you've already done that and you know that to be true. Cruise control is another fuel efficient feature. So my wife isn't real big on cruise control. I live by cruise control. Now, weather like this, when it's raining, snowing, inclement weather, you don't want to use your cruise control because that can be more hazardous than helpful. But when you have good road conditions, your cruise control will save you money in gas too, or fuel if you're running diesel. Tips and tricks that you learn along the way. So a buddy of mine told me there's really no difference in drivers, just some of us have more experience than the others. Well, that's true to a certain extent. Some people are just reckless and will always be reckless. I used to be reckless. When I got my CDL, it changed how I drive. Because this is very serious. People always say, I don't know how you do that. I could never drive all the time. I'd fall asleep. Well, no, you wouldn't, because you'd be alert and aware of the fact that you're driving a 70, 80,000 pound vessel around. So falling asleep's not a option. And I wouldn't say that's why I do what I do. I actually enjoy trucking. I enjoy traveling, and it pays the bills pretty good. And like I said, I'm building a brand. This is a family business. You know, I would love to see my twins grow up and be a part of this. Love for my daughter and my grandkids to be a part of this in some way, shape, or form. They don't have to drive a truck. There's a lot of other moving parts to a trucking company. A lot. Just ask somebody that is an independent owner operator and ask them how many people are in their pocket. You pay for everything. I'll give you an example. See that pre-pass down there? That's a bypass for way stations. It's also a pre-pass, which is a prepay system for tolls. And I think 38 states that they work in. There's only like one state it doesn't work in. It's Florida, maybe two. I think Florida, maybe something like that. But anyways, when we got our free pass in 2021, we had to put a $50 deposit down, and anytime it would drop under $20, it would replenish. So it automatically deducts the money from your account, which is linked to it. Well, fast forward 3 years later, I had to put a $200 deposit on the same free pass. So that's how much the economy has changed. So there you have it. If you're interested in getting the free pass right here, they got now they have mobile app you can use. But I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. We're gonna sign off of here, and y'all have a blessed, lovely day. I don't make mornings. Oh, look at these records. See, this is what happens when it gets real cold. Some states don't treat their roads with salt. Ohio does, PA does, but they also, a lot of places are going to this liquid now because salt's only effective to like 20 degrees or 25 degrees or something like that. And then it just don't work anymore. Well, that liquid they use is effective down to like negative temperatures. And I'm not a scholar by any means, but anybody that drives, especially the OTR drivers, y'all know Montana, Idaho, and western states, they don't use none of that. They put down sand. It's like a sand soil mixture, but it goes right on top of the packed snow and ice. So it freaked me out my first couple times over there because I got truckers passing me. I'm going 35, 40 miles an hour. I'm on 2 inches of ice and snow compacted, but you can see like the sand, the mix that they use, it's like a reddish color. And I had trucks passing me doing 60 miles an hour. I'm like, man, what is going on here? But that's what they use, and it helps with traction. So instead of melting it and tearing the roads up because of the sheer volume of snow that they get over there is crazy. You get up in them passes, I mean, this is a pretty good amount right here just laying on the ground, but you get up in them passes, they get 2-3 feet of snow in overnight, sometimes in a few hours. And the lower land, it's not an altitude, will get like 2 inches. It's crazy. Literally, you'll go from dry pavement like this to a mile up the road. Once you hit that mountain pass, you can't see, you can't get your tires to move. They got a chain law in effect. You gotta pull over and put chains on. It's crazy, man. It goes from all good to all bad in like 5 minutes. Like this right here. If this was a mountain pass in Montana or Idaho, it would be like this, and then a mile up the road, you wouldn't be able to see the car in front of you. And those loads pay pretty good over there, so chances are if you're a driver, you're going to end up with one of them eventually if you're out here trying to make money. We did a lot of them because we were a team. There's team drivers. You want them loads to keep moving. So we grab a load in Ohio, go all the way to Washington, all the way to California. We would either take 80 or 90 because we didn't want to go through the Colorado mountains, the Rockies, which is just treacherous. Anybody that's been down 70, once you get past Denver, it's all bad, all the way to the ocean. They're everywhere. Even LA County. Like, you literally go from the mountains to the city. You gotta go through the mountains to get to LA. In any other direction, you're gonna go through the mountains. Which, over there, I'm in California, you don't get stuff like that unless you're up north. Which they do, they get close and it's that heartbeat over there. But they're dealing with all the fires and stuff right now. But it's crazy how you go from California to Oregon, just the difference in weather is insane. And it's because of altitude. Once you get up in the mountains, it's a different ballgame. It's beautiful though. Our most beautiful trips we took were through the Salt Flats in Utah, in the Grand Canyon, before you get to Vegas or Arizona, West Virginia, y'all. Just beautiful out there. I'll take a load just to go see it. But my wife and I, so we took them both anytime we could get a load going to Vegas. We stopped in Vegas. We had a good time driving to get it for almost a year and a half. And traveled all 48 continental states. Went to Vegas 5 or 6 times, I think. Got married in Vegas in 2021. Got married in the little neon chapel in Fremont. The Fremont experience. And we had a good time. Went to South Beach. Took her son down to South Beach. He was like, "Mom, we moved down here." We're like, "Take a look around, bro. Everybody's already here." And if you haven't been to South Beach, that's quite the experience too. So go check it out. You guys can take it. It's interesting. There's some characters down there. There are some characters down there. But it's a great tourist place. I got family in Florida. Not that far south, but it's 70 degrees down there right now, 80 in some places. And look at it right here. So that's why you go there. And we've been to the Pacific. We didn't go to the beach, but we drove all up and down the West Coast. We had a load once. It was a low altitude load. And try this out, y'all. If y'all have never heard of this, get a bag of chips in low altitude and then take it up in the mountains like Wyoming, Montana, where you're a couple thousand feet in the air. Watch what happens to that bag of chips. So this load, surprisingly, it picked up over here in PA, which I guess some places are definitely okay. I think $4,000 or something, which today's economy. So this boat went all the way to Spokane. We picked it up in PA. That's pretty much coast to coast. But we couldn't go 80 and 90 because it went through altitude. It was a boat full of chips. It's only like 6,000 pounds. Big 3 feet trailer nothing but potato chips. So we had to drop down. I'm trying to remember what we took down. I think we took 40 down. So we took like 70 over to 40, 44 in St. Louis and dropped down to Oklahoma and New Mexico. We took that all the way down to Interstate 10, which goes all the way across the bottom of the United States. It goes through Louisiana, Texas, Arizona, all the way over to like San Diego, California, which is right on the border. So if you don't know, we've been there too. We loaded in San Diego, and you can look 50 feet away and see the border to Tijuana. It's right there. So there's no wonder why there's so many problems there. But, you know, that's not to say anything bad about it. That's a channel. It's a fun. That's here to great money. Whatever. That's far beyond this. But we had to drop all the way down to the bottom of the United States, the bottom of the continent, the bottom of the country, and then follow that all the way over to the West Coast. And we took the West Coast all the way up to Spokane, Washington to deliver those loaded chips. So that, here's the surprise ending. Okay. Spoiler alert. So they don't explode. So if you take chips through altitude, if they were packed in low altitude and you take them to high altitude, the bag will expand because the air is so much thinner up there. So you got all that dense air that it was packed in at low altitude. When you get up there, that dense air expands, which is why like your ears pop. It's why athletes have to train when they go to Mile High Stadium. That's why sometimes it's harder to breathe in altitude because the air is so much thinner. So if you take chips that were packed in low altitude, you take them to high altitude, they'll explode. And here's a plug for YouTube. YouTube chips in high altitude and see what pops up. So you might have been wondering, why did he get in that left lane? It's what? Well, he's playing ahead. Know what's coming. That's why I got it. That lane was exit. And I think we just went through Weirton, which is where my wife tested and got her CDL. There's the Ohio River to the right. And we used to come down here and get steel coils. And then a little bit north of here, we used to get steel coils off the barge. And something else too. Well, they had different coils. They had the black iron coils. So yeah, we would come up here and get the. I'll check you out. Let's see it. Yeah, so when you guys comment on any of my videos, I check your pages and I subscribe because I think it's important that creators support other creators. So that was advice sound advice that Think Media gives. Sean comment is, are you commenting on other creators? Are you expounding the body of knowledge? Are you contributing value? So are you adding value to other creators? It's hard to ask, as a creator, it's hard to ask other creators to support you if you're not supporting them. So it is a give and take. So I enjoy watching other channels and checking out the content and seeing how y'all do it, because the only way we're going to get better is to challenge each other, and I wouldn't say copy each other, but be inspired by each other. So another channel that I follow is but he does CapCut videos, and he can take anybody's content and recreate it and reimagine it. That's not plagiarism. That's not a copyright violation. That's him being inspired by their content, and he's helping other creators learn that skill, learn that trade. So I'm a trucker by trade, but I'm a content creator, freelancer basically, because I enjoy doing it. I found it passionate. So it is a little frustrating when people are like, oh, your phone recorded, how did you get the video? And, man, is that what you do? Go through people's content, look, nitpicking how they're creating the videos they're creating? Are you going to say that to somebody that's videoing a skydive or something? Like, yo, you shouldn't do that, man. You're not going to go pull your parachute. I'm just saying, you know, I'm all for safety, and I don't really want to see anybody get hurt, especially out here on these roads. And I definitely don't want to be the reason why somebody don't go home to their family. I want to get along with my family too. And I want to make sure everybody around me gets home to their family too. So I hope nobody, you know, you're always going to have naysayers. You're always going to have haters. Ask Mr. Beast, probably the most popular YouTube creator there is. I guarantee he's got a whole slew of haters. Anytime you're doing something that is of any significance, the devil's going to come at you. So I like to share educational stuff. I like to try to help other drivers, but I just love people, man. We got that stadium here. We got to love one another. Jesus was the perfect example of that. So, throwing shade, man. Why you gotta be a terror, bro? Jumping from channel to channel, doing audits or what? The phone police or the video police? They come out here and have them shut down the highway so I can record a fake video. Come on, man, this is real, this is authentic. That's what I want this channel to be about. It's coming down now, y'all. I'm back in Ohio, it's snowing like this. We're in southern Ohio. It's coming down. Keeps coming down at this rate. Hard travel. I don't mind when there's like drive pretty good. And we do, surprisingly, listen, we take it for granted. If you're from Ohio, we have really good road crews, most counties. That's a county thing if you don't know, but the highways, that's a state thing. And some highways don't have as good as state coverage, so it falls on the county. So giving people a break out there because they're busting their butt this time of year. They wait all year just for this to go out and work 20-hour shifts. But we actually have really good road crews over here, y'all. I've been places where, man, you're like, are they going to do anything with these roads? And they're like, no. North Dakota, South Dakota, better know how to drive in it. a lot of places it just dumps so fast in such a volume that they couldn't do anything if they wanted to. So our very first trip as lease purchase, or some people would say that's not owner-op, but you got all those responsibilities. Our very first trip as lease purchase, meaning we were buying our own truck, meaning we owned our business, we were a small business trucking company. We had a load going to Washington, and we checked the weather before we accepted the load. We were trying to be smart about our business. We didn't want to end up in a bad situation. It was all clear. By the time we got halfway through that trip, we hit South Dakota, and the first winter storm of the season in early October just pounded us. I drove as far as I could drive. I probably drove 5 hours into it before there were just 2 to 3 inches of snow accumulated on the highway. And we were checking the state systems for the highways. Like, you can pull up the road cameras on the route and see what you're getting into, which is very effective if you're a driver. Check out your Department of Transportation for your route. You can pull up the road cameras and see exactly what you're getting to. And they had a notice out that there was not going to be any clouds until the next day. This is like 1 or 2 in the morning, so finally I'm just barreling through the snow, and it's getting to where I was just spinning my tires. So I pulled into a rest area, didn't set my trailer brakes. And here's another explainer video today. It's another explainer video, y'all. Need to know. I didn't set my trailer brakes because I know brakes can freeze. I was only there 2 hours. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning. I woke up, took a look to my left, and I seen the clouds were moving finally. And I started the truck up, took off. Didn't think nothing of it. Well, about 50 miles up the road, I stopped to fuel up in the Badlands in South Dakota and did a quick walk around in the truck. Both of my front axle and my trailer were just demolished. I drug those tires for 50 miles. So if you see where people spray paint white lines on their tires, or you'll see like a yellow tag that sticks out, that's there because they travel the mountains and winter weather conditions, and they can tell that the tires aren't frozen. So we ended up having to call service. It took 4 or 5 hours for service to get there, and then another 2 to 3 hours for them to get them unfroze. I mean, it was so packed up in there, y'all, and all that snow that was packed up in there because the brakes were hot just turned to solid ice. So they were out there with hammers and chisels and torches before they finally replaced both tires, and ended up costing us like $1,300 on our first load. So basically, we did that first load for nothing. And then we get to the receiver, the customers, and they let us stop. And then we're sitting there for like 30 minutes thinking, oh, we're about to get unloaded, and look around and all the cars are gone. We found out that they left 20 minutes after they put us in a dock. We were stuck there till the next day. So this is where we learned that, hey, if you got some downtime, you either call a Lyft or an Uber, or you start searching truck casinos that have truck parking. And that was our first trip to a casino on the road, and we enjoyed it. So after that, we pretty much hit every single casino in the continental United States that you can park your truck. And man, I wish I had all that money back. So one lesson that I learned from that was you have to treat, if you're an owner-operator, independent owner-operator, lease purchase, lease operator, you're not just a trucker. You're not just a driver. You're a business owner. And if you don't treat it like that, you're going to fail. Unless you just get really good. So that money we were wasting in them casinos should have been going into a bank account. So that when we had equipment problems, we would be okay with that lost revenue, with that maintenance bill, which is not cheap. Anything you do on this truck is expensive. And your biggest loss comes from the revenue that you lose. So you have to be prepared for that. Next, you're playing your video. Until I got it. Thanks for watching.